Taylor with the pick. They win the World Cup in 2006. Sidney Crosby, the golden goal.
Welcome back to the Gameplan Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Porter. Joining me tonight, Dylan, Remy, and Connor. Thank you guys for coming out. Before we get into today's episode, I do want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Mono. Get your quality mics, 5% off if you use the link below on your next purchase. We have a lot to talk about, guys. First, getting into some football stuff. Dylan, tell me, the draft is coming up in a couple weeks. What's going to happen in the top three that you think?
Well, the top three, it's obviously Cam Ward to the Titans. It's basically confirmed. They're just really interested. They really need a QB. They've desperately needed a QB, so Cam Ward, number one. For the Browns, it's honestly it's debatable between Hunter, whether or not they go for a quarterback, but I don't know if they want to start off going with a
Travis Hunter?
Travis Hunter. But for number three, I actually think they are going to take Travis Hunter, to be honest. Although I did see Travis Hunter mainly wants to play, if he wants to play both positions. He wants to play both positions, and I think that could possibly affect his draft stock. I don't think teams are looking to play him both ways. I think they just want to main him as either. Well, I don't know if you saw. He said that if he can't play both positions, he's not going to play in the NFL at all. Yeah, so that's what is going to affect his draft stock, and I really feel that's a crucial part.
I really think they should let him play. You never see two positions anymore, and he's good at both.
And it's not something that you see every time. I feel like it'd bring a lot of viewership, and I think it's good for the sport, to be honest.
Me too.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And another thing I want to mention, Panthers with the eighth pick. They got their QB. They need assets at this point. So I'm thinking they're going to trade that pick for a team that needs a QB. There are quite a few teams, for example, my Steelers, we do need a QB, and we have assets to trade up for that. I feel like it's a smart move for the Panthers to trade away that pick and gain more draft picks later on in the round to gain more assets to build around Bryce Young, because he needs help, bro. Everyone bashes Bryce Young, but to be honest, bro, he needs help and he needs assets.
I could see the Panthers even trading him. They didn't play him at all last season until weeks 13, 14, and so on. But I know as a Steelers fan, you're looking at Jackson Dart. Most mocks have him going way before their pick. What are your thoughts on if he's going to slip to Pittsburgh, or if they're, like you said, going to trade up for him?
Honestly, man, I feel like Jackson Dart is a very underrated QB, and I feel like he would fit perfectly with the Steelers and our offense that we have now, especially with DK Metcalf we recently picked up, and we have George Pickens. And you look at the teams ahead of us, other than Cam Ward and all those QBs, a lot of these teams don't really need a QB at the moment. So the Bengals, they got Joe Burrow. Looks like the Seahawks are set with Sam Darnold, and Buccaneers, they got Baker, and I just feel like there is a high chance that he could fall to the Steelers at the 21st pick. If not, I see the Steelers maybe trading up. Obviously, Shador is highly looked at, top QB last year for college. But the only thing is, I wouldn't like him personally with the Steelers because I feel like he'd be a locker room problem. For example, I feel like he has an attitude. He's just coming in thinking he's the best. He's gonna act like a Stephon Diggs, I feel kind of like a diva.
Yeah. Well, draft's happening in a couple weeks toward the end of the month, so that's gonna be exciting. Last thing I want to get into: Jalen Ramsey and Miami Dolphins both mutually agreed to part ways and go for a trade. Where do you think he's gonna land? He's obviously he used to be one of the elites. He's still a very good cornerback. He's a Super Bowl champ, 7-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All-Pro. What are your thoughts?
Listen, a lot of teams, man, they need that veteran presence, especially in the defensive end. I feel like he's a big target at this point, and we know the Miami Dolphins, they're starting to fall apart, and I don't think he's looking to stay, to be honest. He's just looking for a better opportunity, maybe a shot at another Super Bowl, or to help out the younger guys coming in.
If I'm looking at him, I'm assuming he's going to want to go to another contender. He's already won a Super Bowl. He's obviously going to want to play for another one. I think the Commanders honestly could pick him up. You have Marshawn Lattimore, and then you have Jalen Ramsey as a number 2, a bona fide star in this league. He's only 30 years old. We're trying to get our defense back together. If you bring in another cornerback, solid cornerback, that's a 1-2 punch of Lattimore and him. I think that's going to be really good for the Commanders defense, who really need to improve.
Listen, I know you're a Commanders fan, and as much as I want to hate on the Commanders, they do have an offense, and their offense is very lethal. And gaining Jalen Ramsey as that veteran presence, he's a good defender, maybe help out some of the other guys on your team. I feel that adding Jalen Ramsey to your team could definitely make you a lot more of a contender than without him.
I think it'd be really good for us. Football, we have to talk about there. Going in now, if you're Canadian, obviously you know what's going on with the NHL playoffs. First round, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going up against the Ottawa Senators, the Battle of Ontario. Connor, who do you have winning in this series?
Oh, Canada is all I gotta say. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs have this. Definitely, we've got a heavy core of Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, many other people on the team as well. And this is gonna be the first time they play since 2004, so this is gonna be a big matchup of a lot of eyes drawn towards it.
How many games do you think Leafs are taking it in?
Oh, it's gonna be a hard one.
It's gonna be a hard series fought on both sides.
But I think 6 with
Leafs in 6.
Yeah, Leafs 4-2.
Remy, what do you think?
See, my prediction is I still got the Leafs, but the issue is it's a head-to-head record. The Leafs are 0-3 against the Senators. That's my only concern, but I'm still happy that we've got Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews to lead the way. But that head-to-head record's got to mean something. You know, it's been 21 years since they played each other in the postseason. I'm still concerned, considering the Leafs can't get past the first round half the time. Last year was the first time they got past the first round in how many years? But as a true Toronto fan, I got to vote for the.
How many games do you think they're taking it?
I think personally it might go to a game 7. I'm hoping to go to a game 7.
I'm going to go on the flip side here. I think Sens take the series in 7, and here's why. Obviously, when you think about the Leafs, you think about their big players. You think Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and then that's not even topping it off. You have obviously Tavares and Matthew Nyes in depth, but even
their goalie though.
Well, that's what I think.
Stolers, the last 8 games, he's
this is what I think. I think goaltending is going to be the difference maker, and I think the Leafs every single series they play where they lose, the goaltending is the difference. Whether it was with Anderson before last year, their goaltending was very iffy in the playoffs. Ullmark is a superstar, was a superstar. He is a known player around the league. He has playoff experience with the Bruins. He won a Vezina in 2023. Although if you look at his playoff numbers, it's not great, but he's in front of a great team. He has good defense. Both teams are equally balanced. I'd give the Leafs the advantage in the offensive zone. But defensive-wise, they're both pretty balanced. They're both in similar spots in penalty kill percentage as well as goals allowed. But again, I really think goaltending is going to be the key difference. You have Tim Stützle, who has 76 points, Brady Tkachuk with 55, a more grit player who he's going to bring to this series. Drake Batherson with 65 points. They have scorers. They have good defense. Thomas Chabot, who had 45 points, a plus 17. Nick Jensen, who was surprising with 21, a plus 20. And then Jake Sanderson with 55 points as well. You know, I think the defense is balanced. Obviously, you have OEL and Riley. But again, I think goaltending is going to be the difference, and that's why I have the Sens taking in 7.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Ottawa Senators, I'm glad that they're going into the playoffs because this is their first time since 2017. And Brady Tkachuk, we've seen him in the USA versus Canada game and just other games in general, that he's a powerhouse for the Senators. So I'm glad they're going to be in the playoffs since 2017, the first time. But the Maple Leafs have momentum right now, and we've talked about momentum in the past, how it's key for playoff success. I watched the game the other night with Austin Matthews getting his 400th goal, and then Mitch Marner with 100 points his first time in the season. We know last year he had 97, I believe, and the year before that he had 98. So there's been many years of him not getting to the 100 mark, but I'm glad to see that he got the 100 points this year against my Sabres, unfortunately. But
Dylan?
All right, so I'm going to go with Connor with what he said. Obviously, I'm a big Leafs fan, so Leafs in, I'd say, around 6. But you have to think, bro, it's now or never for the Leafs.
I was going to say that.
Marner, we've seen
trade
contracts
rumors
running out, and listen, I think these guys are sick of losing. So that's why I also feel they're really going to turn up in this first round. I mean, Ottawa, you shouldn't underlook them. They've had a great season, a very great season this season. And yeah, it's just something to look forward to. And yeah, that was a big game that we won, to be honest, too, against Tampa the other day, because if we didn't win that game, we'd be versing, what was it, Florida?
I think so, yeah.
Florida, and we have problems with Florida, so I feel like the Senators is definitely the better option out of the two. And you look at Matthew Nyes in that game, he is the key factor, I feel, to be honest. He's the better Hyman. He's making the hits. He's making the plays. He's always in the right spot. He's like an enforcer, and I feel like he is super underrated, and he's going to be a key part to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I feel that the guys, man, they want to win, bro. Yeah. It's now or never. And I think this is the year that they have to step it up and realize if we're going to win, it's got to be this year.
I agree with 100%. This could be a make or break series for the Leafs. I think Ottawa's going to really bring grit. I think Toronto's going to bring the grit, and it's going to be a very, very good series and just good hockey overall. If they do win that series, their next opponent is going to be Florida or Tampa. That's going to be another topic, assuming they move on for another time, but they're not going to have an easy path to the Stanley Cup Finals, which is no surprise, but they could obviously do it. They are known for choking, and that's why I'm hesitant to say Leafs. I really think Ottawa is gonna bring the upset.
And we need our big guys to step up, man, because we know some of our big players, they kind of like fall into the shadows in the playoffs. But this is the series where we really need Austin Matthews and those kind of guys like Nylander and those guys to shine, connect, and we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, no, it'll be a good series for sure. Next thing I wanted to talk about, Logan Couture, you guys may or may not know, announced his retirement from the National Hockey League recently. If you don't know, Logan Couture played almost 15 years, I think, just about in the NHL. He spent his entire career with San Jose. He was one of the better wingmen in the league during his prime. He was a great player on the Sharks, who went to the Stanley Cup final against the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2016, eventually losing. But I want to give him a quick shout out. Congrats on Logan Couture for everything he did in his career, as well as that Marc-Andre Fleury played his last regular season game, which I don't even want to say it because I've watched Fleury.
I know that's emotional for you.
We've watched Fleury our whole lives. I'm a diehard Penguins fan. I've watched him. I became a goalie because of Marc-Andre Fleury. And they went into OT in that game, and they put Fleury in specifically to touch the ice before he retires. The Wild did make the playoffs, so maybe he'll make a postseason appearance. Unlikely, but again, watching him throughout his career with Pittsburgh and Vegas and Chicago and whatnot, he was a very special player. He won a Vezina, we know, 3 Stanley Cup champion, Hall of Famer for sure, and in my opinion, a top 10 goalie of all time.
Holy glaze.
Well, it's speaking facts. You're speaking facts. You're speaking facts. I named my dog after this guy.
First 5 seconds, then I've never heard more glaze in my life for somebody except for when you glaze.
It's not glaze when it's speaking. It's just facts. You know, he's a top 10 goalie.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot. You can only glaze this guy because you can't glaze the Magic right now.
It just sucks that he's not retiring as a Penguin. I feel like
it was very unfortunate. Looking back on Vegas, understand what happened. I mean, he led them to the Stanley Cup Finals the next year. But looking toward the end of his career, it's kind of sad to see him on a shitty Blackhawks team and an okay Minnesota Wild team. But again, this is, one of the best of the best. I'm reading off his 3-time Stanley Cup winner, the 2020-21 Vezina, 2020-21 Jennings, man All-Star appearance, top 10 goalie in my opinion. Connor, what do you think?
He's definitely a top 10 goalie. He's been around for 20 years or 20 plus.
He's had the same career as LeBron. They were drafted in the same year, 2003, both first overall picks.
Had an amazing career with the Pittsburgh Penguins and then rejuvenated his career. I'm not going to say rejuvenated, but he also had a really great career in Las Vegas as well, winning that Stanley Cup over there, Well,
they made it. They didn't win.
Sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But Fleury is definitely a top 10 goalie of all time. I'm glad that he's had a career that he's had. Unfortunately, maybe it's still possible that he can sign a one-day contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins just to retire as a Penguin.
Everyone would love to see that. I know the fans cherish him from wherever he goes. If you ever see anything off the ice from him, his personality, he always has a smile on his face. I've seen pictures where he's literally been scored on and he still has a smile on his face. He always gave 120% on the ice, and his person just matched how he played, and it was really special to watch. Again, I became a goalie of this guy. I named my dog after him because he was such an amazing goalie, inspiration to me. What were you going to say, Dylan?
Yeah, it just sucks, man. Those generation of goalies, I feel like that was the best generation of goalies, like Roberto Luongo, Martin Brodeur,
Henrik Lundqvist,
Jonathan
Quick,
all those guys. And Fleury is like one of the last ones left, and the fact that he's gone, I feel like it's going to leave a hole in the NHL.
I mean, the fact that he was playing until he was 40 years old is already ridiculous, being that flexible and being able to do what a goaltender has to do at 40 years of age. 20-year career, Marc-Andre, hats to you. Merci for everything you do. It was a great career watching you play throughout my life. So,
although he didn't learn English in his career.
Okay, he spoke English. He spent 20 years in Canada, so he knows how to speak English. So I don't know who your source is, but you might want to double check that.
I think the Penguins should retire his jersey.
For sure.
Maybe Las Vegas Knights would also retire. Maybe the first jersey.
Maybe. I could definitely see the Penguins retiring his jersey. Even though 29 is a fairly common number now, I still think he deserves that respect from the team. But again, Marc-Andre Fleury, congrats. Logan Couture, congrats on your guys' career. It was amazing watching, specifically Fleury play throughout everything. We'll take a quick break, and once we get back, we'll get into some NBA stuff. We got a lot of topics about basketball, so we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Gameplan Podcast. We got a lot of basketball. The play-in tournament is wrapping up tomorrow night. We already got some teams who advanced. Remy, first, Hawks and Magic. That was the game on Tuesday. What did you see from that game? And tell me if it was any surprising to you.
Honestly, not surprising. Magic and Hawks. It's pretty simple to tell that the Magic are going to win that. Hawks don't have depth. Sure, you got Trae Young. Sure, you got Dyson Daniels. Sure, you got Clint Capella. But the Magic have insane depth. You've got KCP coming off the bench shooting 40% from three. You've got Paolo Banchero. You've got Franz Wagner, both having career seasons right now. You've got Cole Anthony, who had a career night, 26 points. Who saw that coming? I didn't see that
I didn't see that. I was watching the game, and I'm like, Cole Anthony coming in hot with 26. I did not have that on my bingo card.
Exactly. I didn't see that coming. But since that he took over that game, I'm going to happily take the Magic. When you listen to the last podcast, I took the Magic then too. Magic were a way better team. It was not a surprise to me whatsoever.
Coming from me, I want to break it down to the stat-wise because I was watching the game. Field goal percentage, the Hawks shot 38% from the field goal. The Magic shot 48%. Hawks shot 19% from three-point. Watching that game, we know the Magic is the second best defensive team in the league. During the first half, the Magic were up by almost 30. The game was completely over. Hawks almost made a push, but the Magic got away and did finish the blowout 120-95. Wagner and Banchero didn't have great games, but watching Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter with 5 offensive rebounds, putting in the basket back in the bucket off those, and they have good interior defense. Again, wasn't not surprised by the outcome, but I'm hoping Wagner and Banchero will clean up a little bit going into the next series. Connor, tell me what you thought about that matchup.
All right, guys, I won't be doing as much glazing as
they won by 30 points, so.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I did see on Instagram that they were up by a lot, and Trae Young was kind of irritated.
He got ejected last minute of the game. We really put the clamps on Trae Young. Trae Young was playing very, very poorly.
Trae Young nutmegged someone, had a really nice floater, really nice play, and then he chucked the ball at the ref, which got him a technical
so he chucked it at the ref, and then as he was walking off, he kind of played with the refs again and got his ass ejected from the game.
Which I'm kind of assuming he did that because he knew he was going to lose the game and there's nothing he could do. But last podcast, we all had the Magic as the favorites. Yeah. I don't believe the Magic should have been in the play-ins at all, but it's the new era of basketball, so you got to do what you got to do. Even though the East weren't that strong this year, I don't know why they're in the play-ins, probably because Paolo was injured most of the season, but I'm glad that he's doing well on his recovery and his
he's looking good now. Like I say, he struggled, but he's looking really great.
Yeah, because before I said Franz was the leader of the team. He was putting up these points, assists, rebounds, and Paolo kind of had a slow start from All-Star Weekend and everything. But
since then, 29 points per game.
Exactly.
Playing really well.
Yeah, it's just surprising Cole Anthony had the game he had, 26 points in only 20 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
Which I believe the Magic should utilize him a little bit more in the playoffs.
If he can go off against Boston in the upcoming series, really off the bench, that's going to improve really, really much for us.
As long as it's a good matchup against the Celtics.
Of course.
But Jrue Holiday has been very disappointing this year, so maybe they use Cole Anthony as an offensive presence there. So
we can get into that series later on once it starts. Dylan, what did you think about that game?
It's just tiring, man. Like, you can tell Trae Young's frustrated, bro. Every single year this kind of thing happens to him. He's putting his best numbers out there, but you can tell he's just frustrated with everything. He's frustrated with the refs, and I feel like he's also frustrated with his team at this point as he's doing all he can, but at this point, there's only so much.
Do you sense a Trae Young trade or a move any by chance?
I think it'd be smart for Trae Young to get his ass off the Hawks.
Tell me why.
Honestly, man, like, you can see it, like, with the All-Star picks, he's not really, like, looked at in terms of, like, All-Star games. He always gets snubbed.
And he's putting up the numbers.
But no one's really giving a shit because it's the Hawks, and it just frustrates me because we all know Trae Young is a really good player, and put him on a half-decent team, bro. He can actually thrive, and it's hard, man.
He does have 2 years left on his contract as well, so it's a short period of time.
But this team has been to the conference finals before. I believe 2-3 years ago.
But that was a different team.
But they did have, like, I don't know. They had John Collins and Cam Reddish.
They also had DeJounte Murray, and they traded him off. So they've had assets, but nothing's working.
That's not when they went to the conference finals.
No, but I'm saying in general, they've had assets, and nothing's been working for them.
I just feel like the Hawks aren't listening to Trae Young. They're not helping him out, and it's just they're trying, but it's not working. Like, who is Oh shit, I'm blanking out.
You're good. Next game we'll go into, but again, Magic, no surprise, I think, last podcast, but y'all go ahead.
They tried to add in DeJounte Murray to, like, kind of, like, pair up with Trae Young, but it didn't go very well. And DeJounte Murray definitely underperformed from when he played on the Spurs, and he wasn't the player that we were expecting, like, to take the jump, and it's frustrating, man.
Remy, the next game, Grizzlies and Warriors. Warriors won 121-116. What are your thoughts on that game?
Like I said from the last podcast, I already called that. It's pretty simple, honestly, because the Grizzlies, you have John Morant. He's not a reliable player. And you have also JJJ. He's in candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Sure, he's good, but, with the Warriors, you got Steph Curry's on hot streak. You've got Jimmy Butler with the addition there. They've been on a win streak since they've got him. We already pulled the sense from last podcast, but I'm not surprised whatsoever. And Draymond Green is also in candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Not sure how, because he fouls people most of the time. But, yeah, no, I'm not surprised there.
I want to highlight a few players. Jimmy Butler with 38 points. Steph Curry with 37 points on the Warriors side.
About time Jimmy Butler did something.
Yeah, Grizzlies. We actually mentioned this on the last episode. No one was talking about Desmond Bain ever when you mentioned the Grizzlies. He dropped 30 points the other night against this team to help them win. John only had 22, and JJJ had 18.
I'm really not
surprised there.
I'm gonna say, like, Jaren Jackson Jr., man, he, as much as he is a defensive presence, he is a liability. I do bet on Jaren Jackson sometimes, and it never goes my way, especially when it comes to he sits at the 3-point line. He just thinks he's like Kevin Durant, and he just chucks up threes, and it's not his play style. He should be playing in the paint rather than sitting outside in the 3. And it does suck because I do really like John Morant, but he sadly did underperform that game. He also got injured. He got taken out quite early. He had 22 points, but he did his best. And I know you guys hate on Jimmy Butler, but look what is going on now.
It's been a very good fit for him.
He leaves Miami Heat. Miami Heat isn't doing jack, bro. They are not doing well. They did win their play-in, but
they did not do anything, but they did win.
Were struggling in the regular season, and obviously, no one would expect this to work out. Jimmy Butler paired with Steph Curry, but man, I think it is the right move, and I really think Jimmy Butler, he is that guy, especially when it comes to playoffs.
Connor, what do you think about that game?
Wait, hold on. Dylan, you said nobody would think Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler would be a great duo. Who wouldn't think that's a great duo? Steph Curry's the greatest point guard of all time.
I know you really hated on Jimmy Butler, so I know.
I was hating on Jimmy as well. I think everyone was hating on Jimmy.
And I know you guys. And I know you guys wouldn't think.
He didn't want to play.
Yeah,
he didn't want to play.
Look what's going on. He gets added to the Warriors. The Warriors had a bad season last season, and Jimmy Butler gets added, and he turns things around.
Great fit for them. Connor?
Yeah, because he's not the best player on the team now. He actually wants to do something.
Yeah, but he does contribute. So.
All right, Connor?
All right, I got the talking stick now. So, yeah, I'm also a Jimmy Butler hater, but I do realize that he's doing really well in the postseason. Every year he does really well in the postseason. So, although his season averages don't look really good in the in-season games, but the postseason games, his averages definitely do go up.
That's where Jimmy Butler becomes Jimmy Butler.
I believe that was a big emphasis point on why the Warriors traded for him. It's way better than Andrew Wiggins, who they've had before. No, although he did win a championship with the Warriors in the past his prime now, and he's I'm glad he's on a team with the Heat where he's got Eric Spoelstra to coach him around, but. Back to the Warriors, Curry dropped off 37 points, had a really amazing game, and Jimmy Butler is just a postseason demon. John Morant got injured early into the game, as Dylan was mentioning before, but he did come back later in the game, but just couldn't.
I feel like it affected them a lot.
It did. And I do believe Jaren Jackson, instead of shooting so many outside threes,
he just thinks he's like a Kevin Durant. Like, I don't know who he thinks he is.
He is a good 3-point shooter. You can't lie about that, but just... If it's not working for you, maybe try something else.
Exactly.
Paint and everything. But
pulling up his 3-point numbers this season.
He's not good in the paint, though. He's not good in the paint. So that's the thing.
He's a big, dominant guy, though.
Pulling up his 3-point numbers on 5 attempts, he shot 37%. So he's been a good 3-point shooter this season.
He has.
Oh, yeah.
But it just...
That's the one thing I wanted to talk about, though.
An important game like this, if it's not dropping, you got to...
The last game that they just played against the Warriors, he shot 28%. He made 2 threes on 7 attempts. So when it's not working, you just got to cut your losses.
And, man... If the Warriors get their spark back, like Steph Curry's like starting to perform and starting to heat up, Draymond Green is playing how he should be on the defensive end.
They can be dangerous.
If that team starts to get their spark back, they're gonna make a big run in the playoffs.
As we were talking about the Heat, they lost against they won against the Bulls. 109-90. Remy, what'd you see from that game? I think we all had the Bulls.
I was very shocked.
I think we all had the Bulls winning that game.
We all had the Bulls winning.
100%. No, I was very shocked because the Bulls are, in my opinion, a better team overall, but clearly not. They lost. Sure, they have a younger core, but I personally think they were going to win. The Heat, the reason why it's super questionable is because they've been doing terrible this season. They're in the play-in for a reason. They didn't make it to the actual playoffs. They didn't have a secured spot. Bam Adebayo is not having a great season. Tyler Hero's doing well. He's actually doing surprisingly well this season.
Tyler Hero did have a 38-point performance in that game.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm surprised he's doing well this season because, like, before he was almost like a role player to Jimmy. But, like, I'm just super, super surprised.
Connor, what'd you see?
I was super surprised too because with the addition of Josh Giddey this year and how Kobe White's been playing all year round, and Vucevic, who's been a playoff, he's
been there multiple times
with the Orlando Magic, a double master. But we all had the Bulls winning just based off how much momentum they've been having going into the play-ins. But my hat goes off to the Heat. I didn't think a team with Kevin Love, a 40-year-old Kevin Love, or near 40-year-old Kevin Love would beat the Bulls with such a young roster. But I totally forgot about Tyler Hero.
Yep.
He went, I think, 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 to start the game off, which just led the team to
that momentum really carried them into that win.
Yeah. Bam Adebayo, he's also a really good player. He gets boards, he gets points, and he's a really good defensive player. And Andrew Wiggins also had a decent game as well. Didn't think
20 points and 9 rebounds.
Exactly. Didn't expect that since he had like a 14 or 16 point per game season with the Warriors. So I'm glad that they're going to be advancing to the next play-in game,
which we'll talk about in a second.
And
Dylan?
Yeah.
Josh Giddey, man, he's been on a tear in that game. He was playing his heart out. 25 points and 10 rebounds. Yeah. It just sucks to see him like kicked out of the playoffs. Like he's really been trying, and you can see it. You can see it in the effort. But is it Buzelis?
Buzelis,
Buzelis struggled that game, man. 9 points, just didn't play like how we all expected him to play, unfortunately. And I feel like that was the key contributor to the Bulls unfortunately losing. And Andrew Wiggins, 20 points. He played good that game, and Tyler Hero, 38 points, really taking that role as the main guy there. And he is a great player. And Bam Adebayo, 12 rebounds, 15 points. It's just Bam. So
for the Heat, they play the Hawks tomorrow. Who do we have predictions on winning that game? Remy?
I'm taking the Hawks on this one. Just because Tyler Hero had one good game, I'm hoping he has another good game. But I'm just taking the fact that Bam hasn't had a good season. Andrew Wiggins with the addition there, I'm hoping he does something. But with Dyson Daniels, been a phenomenal defense this season, averaging 2 steals per game. And Trae Young, three. With also Trae Young, he's definitely trying to prove himself after that loss.
I'm actually go ahead.
Especially after the ejection, after that ejection, he had a great move, great floater. I think he's on a tear and he wants to prove himself. So I definitely am taking the Hawks on that one.
I'm going to take the Heat. And you can't count out Tyler Hero. After a 38-point performance, he's only gonna do that again. Bam is still a good interior defender and always has been. When you look at how the Hawks play, they have Okongwu, they have Gay. You give them the ball, they're very heavily interior players. And when you have Bam, I think he's gonna deny that. As well as we just saw the Hawks get their backs blown out by the Magic, and the Heat are far behind from the Magic, but they're still within that range at competing at the same level. And I think Miami Heat would have be no surprise or shocked if the Heat do end up winning this game. Connor?
Yeah.
Okay, but you're counting out the sheer fact that Dyson Daniels is...
Hey, Dyson Daniels is a great player, but he also just played like ass. He came off a bad game, and I don't really see him turning it around in the next one.
Yep, I have winning this game because... Again, the momentum that Tyler Hero has right now, he's been shooting super well. He's known as a three-point shooter, and then he also had a lot of good chances at the paint that he took and actually made a lot of them. Didn't think he was that good of a slasher, but he really proved himself to be a two-way player or three-level scorer there. So maybe Dyson Daniels does
maybe has a comeback game
because he is a really good perimeter defender.
He's a good defender.
So he might be a little bit pesky on those.
But even if Trae drops a 35 or 40 piece, I still don't see that affecting unless Hawks really come out with a good solid bench to put up a performance.
The one issue I do think the Heat would have is rebounding because, as we said, the Hawks do have Okongwu, and then they also do have Clint Capella, which I do think you missed about.
He did miss that last game.
Yeah, he did miss the last game. Hopefully he's back for this because it is a do or die game. So hopefully he comes back because he is a really good rebounder for the team.
The Hawks as a whole are a very good rebounding team.
he's really good for rebounding, and then he's also really good with the pick and roll. As we've seen Clint Capella with James Harden, he's got most of his points from just James Harden pick and rolls. So hopefully Trae Young can run some pick and rolls with a veteran Clint Capella on the team. But yeah, I do have the Heat winning this because they do have a younger team. I think a big reason why the Heat also won this because Terry Rozier didn't play at all or play very little minutes.
Yeah.
So he's been trying to sell the team, and it's very obvious that he's been doing so. So I'm glad that they sat him out or just hasn't played as many minutes.
That's good coaching right there.
Yeah.
Listen, man, gotta go Miami Heat. It depends. Tyler Hero really needs to take on that role again, drop a big game. You need Andrew Wiggins to step in there, drop at least 15 plus points, and Bam, you need him to play how he played last game, menace on the rebounds and grabbing the points. But then again, you can look at it and you can see, like, if Trae Young gets hot, man, don't let Trae Young get hot. If he activates that Knicks Trae Young, man, it could be wraps for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, gonna be an interesting game.
Yeah, if the Hawks get a number 1 pick again in the draft this year, it's rigged. If the Hawks or the Philadelphia 76ers get it, I'm never watching NBA ever again.
I mean, hey, there've been very
I'm calling
good
cap
points over
on
the
that
last few
because you're a
years.
Scotty Barnes fan. I'm calling cap on that.
I'm never watching any other Eastern Conference team.
The last matchup, Mavericks and Kings. The Mavericks won that game and will play the Grizzlies tomorrow. Remy, what did you see from the Kings-Mavs game, and were you surprised?
Yeah, I was very surprised. It's complete fucking bullshit because,
all saw this
DeRozan.
coming.
Yeah, we no, I think who had
No,
the Kings?
I didn't see this. I didn't know. I didn't see
talking
this
right
fucking
now.
coming. I didn't see
I
this
had the
fucking
Kings too,
coming
though, to be
because
fair.
I didn't see this fucking coming because he have DeRozan played a fantastic game. He put everything on the floor. Levine, he did all right. Sabonis could have done way better. The bench did nothing, man. The bench, their depth did absolutely nothing. It was so disappointing. AD was talking trash to the fans. Like, shut up, AD. You've been injured for more than 90% of the season. Shut the hell up. I don't want to hear your mouth. But yeah, going back to the very disappointed. Clay actually showed up for a game. About time for him. Yeah, he shot 5 for 7 from
23 points from Clay, 27 from AD.
Very surprised there. First time he showed up all season. So congratulations to him. Hats off to him.
Shadow Clay.
Shadow Clay. He actually
Kings
did something for his team for once.
I will give I'll give DeMar his
was-
flowers. He did have 33 points in that game. Levine with 20 as second, and then Sabonis with 11.
Yeah, Levine had
Yeah,
very
no,
bad
Sabonis was
efficiency.
The
disappointing.
scoring was not there for
Very
the
bad
Kings.
efficiency.
And that,
No,
that's not how you're gonna win.
DeRozan carried them. Like he did all he can. It's sort of hard when Levine is only dropping 20 points, but in any other game during the regular season he'll drop 30 at least. The bonus was barely only dropped 10. His
11.
rebounding wasn't there. Oh, 11. Yeah, sorry, not much better, but he still didn't help it. And I was even rooting for him because he's an underrated center. Thought he would have made the All-Star game. He just did not perform in the playoffs.
In the second quarter, the Mavericks scored 44 points, and the Kings only scored 19.
Yeah,
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The depth for the Mavericks is they have no depth compared to the Kings. The Kings' depth just didn't want to do anything. DeRozan can't play all 44 minutes.
Go ahead, Car.
Yeah, I definitely thought the game would have been closer just based off how much depth each team has. But yeah, I was watching the game live, and then just the Kings were not getting the bucket, and the Mavericks were just getting all the buckets they can get.
Anything they wanted, they had.
Anything they wanted, and Sabonis only had 11 points, which is very unusual since he's usually a 20 points, 10 or 12 rebounds.
And he's been doing a lot of
8
talking.
assists, triple-double type of guy. But when I was watching the game, it kind of makes sense why he didn't have that well of a game, just because.
I mean,
you know,
AD.
Yeah, AD is a defensive player.
It's kind of
that
hard to
can't
grab
hit.
rebounds when AD is in the paint.
And also, Jason Kidd was putting 3 7-foot lineups. Like,
Yeah.
they had Daniel Gafford at center, Anthony Davis at power forward, and they had PJ Washington. I don't know if he's 7 foot, but he's close to there at small forward.
Yeah, he's like 6'10".
So it's like, if the small forward on the Kings gets past PJ Washington, oh, there's Daniel Gafford to block it or AD to block it. Oh, if the power forward on the Kings gets past, AD, oh, Daniel Gafford's there to block it. Because I think every time I watch someone go to the paint, Daniel Gafford was just right there to deny their shot attempts.
Dylan, who do you think's winning tomorrow, Mavericks or Grizzlies?
It's gonna be a close one. We'll just see how it goes. If John Morant turns up and actually plays like how he should be playing, then it will be a close game. But I'll see. Going back to the Mavericks and Kings series, shout out Brandon Williams, Magic Illumini, dropping 17 points in 18 minutes. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Brandon Williams, I haven't really heard that name much. So definitely a contributor in that game. And obviously, Klay Thompson, 23 points. He's been struggling, and we didn't see that coming. So if he plays like that, and if Anthony Davis actually plays how he should, yeah, it's just going to be a close game.
And Dante Exum too. He was just overseas
playing
basketball over there, and I'm glad that they brought him back because he was the 5th pick to the Utah Jazz back in, I'm not going to say a year, but I'm glad that they brought him back. He's definitely he's a tall point guard. So their lineup was Dante Exum, Klay Thompson, those two players are at least 6'6", and then again PJ Washington, AD, Daniel Gafford. So I think that they tried to attack the Kings with size here, and it worked.
Who do you think's winning tomorrow? Mavericks or Grizzlies?
I think the Mavericks are still winning.
Really?
They still have AD on the team. Yes, they still have AD on the team. He has veteran presence. He's been around the playoffs. DPOY candidate. He can shoot.
JJJ?
If AD has a good game, he can easily put up 30, 15, 5, 4 blocks. That's insane. And that's your best player, but you also have Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson. I don't know if Kyrie Irving's going to play tomorrow or the next game, but...
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Get an update on that. I'm thinking the Grizzlies are going to win. The Grizzlies, Desmond Bane just dropped 30 points. John Morant is not going to have 22 again. I think he's going to step up and have close to a 30 bomb. You mentioned Anthony Davis, JJJ, a DPOY winner already. We know how good of an interior player he is. If he can actually get some three-pointers to drop, he goes from 18 points to 25 just like that. Zach Edey, who they also we
Not
know
a guy to bet on.
who has a length of height. He had 17 boards already against the Warriors in their game. I really think the Grizzlies are going to come back and win this game. Remy, who do you think's winning the game?
I'm taking Grizzlies, honestly, because I don't think Klay Thompson's ever going to have that game again in his career.
You think there was just the luck of the Irish? He got lucky with that game?
Heck
Maybe
yeah,
he's just turning up for the playoffs, man. Maybe he's just like locked in.
Yeah, we'll have fun with that because Desmond Bane's going to be guarding you, and you're not going to be getting your two-step jump shots in. So have fun with that. No, I personally think Grizzlies are going to win. Desmond Bane's on a hot streak. JJJ wants to prove himself for Defensive Player of the Year. You also got Zach Edey as this year. So
That guy is absorbs the rebound game.
17 boards.
The rebounds for the Grizzlies will be insane. That's all I have to say.
Yep.
And also with the addition of Scottie Pippen Jr. playing so well this season, I'm just happy to see what he can do against them. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, Zach Edey didn't score enough points. When he had the ball, he would just pass it out. Didn't score as many points as he should have, even though he's 7'5". I do like you mentioned Scottie Pippen Jr. I believe that if this whole play-in situation doesn't work out for them and they lose this game, they're going to blow it up, or at least they're going to trade away John Morant. John Morant's going to get off the team, and then they're going to start Scottie Pippen Jr. because he's played so well whenever John Morant off the games.
He's just so good defensively.
Yeah.
He's doing very well. I'm just glad that the young guys on the Grizzlies are having a good year. I think it's time for John Morant to move on because I think he's up for a contract extension. If not, I could be wrong about that, but if he is, he's in for a lot of money. The same reason that the Mavs didn't want to pay Luka Doncic because he wasn't a defensive presence. He would have been paid a lot of money on this contract extension. So if John Morant gets paid a lot of money here, there's going to be not enough money for free agencies in the future. And it's
going to be a good play-in game, which wraps up tomorrow night. The Warriors of winning their game, they now play the Rockets. I know Dylan's excited to talk about that. So what do you have going on in that series?
Listen, man, it's two very interesting teams. I feel like both of these teams are super fun to watch, and I actually feel like it's going to be one of the best playoff matches we will see. We got the Rockets. They got a young roster, and they're hungry, man. They want to make a statement for themselves. Jalen Green, they haven't really made the playoffs, and this is Jalen Green's chance to prove himself and show that he can take the team far in the playoffs. But then again, you also have the Golden State Warriors. Looks like they're starting to catch their spark. Steph looks like he's got his spark back. So if he catches heat, man, this is going to be a really fun series. I honestly don't know who's got the series, and it's going to be a close one.
It's going to be an interesting series. That's going to be one of the most talked about, one of the most viewed. Who do you have winning?
And honestly, man,
if
I really want to say
you sound like it's going to go 7 games.
It might, bro, but I really want the Rockets to win because I want them to show that they're capable of taking this team far. Then again, I also like Amen Thompson, man. I feel like he is just super fun to watch. One of the most athletic people we have ever seen when it comes to basketball, and he's a defensive presence. He makes good plays, and I really like the Rockets.
Yeah,
it could go either way.
It's going to be a good series. I want to talk about the Kings. Sacramento Kings just fired head coach Monty McNair last night or yesterday after losing their play-in game. The Kings if we go through the past, they had Tyrese Halliburton traded away, De'Aaron Fox traded away. We know how unhappy Domantas Sabonis is in that situation, saying he wants a direction on where this team is going to go. Otherwise, he wants out, as well as he's been quoted saying, we need a point guard. Remy, what are your thoughts on the entire Kings situation? And they lost the play-in. They fired their head coach. Obviously, how Sabonis is unhappy. They have an aging core in DeRozan and LaVine. What are your thoughts on that team?
They got blow this team up. I thought it was going to be different because I thought De'Aaron Fox was going to stick around. Clearly, that didn't happen, so it's always been super disappointing.
You thought it was going to be different? I need Bulls 2.0 on this team?
Exactly. I can't have this shit. I didn't want Zach LaVine. I don't.
Zach LaVine just followed DeMar.
Yeah, it can't happen. It can't happen. The only difference is Sabonis and Malik Monk. Congratulations, you have a little bit more depth. That's it. No, I need DeRozan to go to a championship team. He's an easy bucket getter. He's a great playmaker. I need to see him on a championship contending team because he doesn't have many more years left in this league. I need to see him go to a championship contending team because the Kings ain't it. They really disappointed me this season.
Remy dropped to his knees when he saw Zach LaVine join the Sacramento Kings.
Oh no, I was so angry. Zach LaVine is a kryptonite. Zach LaVine is a kryptonite for DeRozan because. No, it's a kryptonite because Zach LaVine has to have the ball in his hands. If he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's useless. He doesn't play great defense. We don't need two DeMar DeRozans on the team, except one shoots more threes. We really didn't need that on the team.
I feel like
also saying this, I'm a Raptors fan. I'm just a diehard DeRozan fan.
I feel like
without all that being said,
I feel like this is a certain situation where once you fire your head coach after losing a playing game and your core is of age, where they're getting older, this is probably calls for a rebuild. Now they're going to trade every one of their assets to get more picks, younger players.
100%.
They're going to hire a development coach to develop these young players. Connor, what do you think is going to happen in Sacramento after this firing?
Yeah, they shouldn't have got rid of Tyrese Halliburton back in that Domantas Sabonis trade, although they did play very well for each teams. Pacers are where they're
looking at it now, I think we know who the winner of that trade was.
Yeah, looking back in hindsight now, we obviously think the Pacers won that trade, but you never know if Tyrese Halliburton would have that same trajectory
if he stayed in Sacramento
Kings.
But I don't think he would have.
It's going to be weird because the Sacramento Kings haven't won a playoff series since 2004. So I think the fans are pretty fed up with all this rebuilding, the DeMarcus Cousins era where they couldn't win, but he was such a good player, couldn't get key players around him, had like Omri Caspi around him. I think the Kings are just very disappointed of what the Kings management has been doing.
Are you calling for a blow up?
I believe if they're going to fire all these people, I believe something big is going to be coming this offseason. It's going to be interesting what happens.
Dylan?
And I think one last thing, I think they should have got a little bit more from De'Aaron Fox, but I believe they didn't get as much from De'Aaron.
100%. They got nothing for De'Aaron.
They just because they thought they wanted to compete this year when they really should have maybe sold him for younger players on the team or maybe more picks in the future, but they just didn't know. Looking back in hindsight, it is pretty easy to say that they should have traded for more young players and draft picks, but maybe they wanted to push for a championship this year.
On that topic of trading De'Aaron Fox, it's also hard because everyone knew that he wanted out of that. And once you know that a player wants out, they kind of gain leverage in trade talks as teams know this guy wants out. We can lowball and get him for a cheap deal.
Yeah, we know that from Vince Carter getting traded for Alonzo Mourning, who never played for us.
One last thing though, before.
The Kings, man, letting go of De'Aaron Fox, I feel like it definitely set them back a little bit. We know DeMar, he steps up, but bringing Zach LaVine in, I just don't think it was a good idea. I don't think they mesh too well together, and yeah, that's what I got on it.
Listen, if the Raptors don't get Jokic this offseason, I think Domantas Sabonis
would
be a perfect
and that's where I cut off.
All right, yeah,
that's where I meet your mic right there.
That's funny. That's funny. That's a comedian show.
Kings is going to be interesting in the offseason if they decide to blow it up, trade everyone, and rebuild after firing their coach. Speaking of firing and trades and all that, the Pelicans brought in Joe Dumars as their vice president. We know Joe as one of the league's best back in the Pistons with the bad boy Pistons winning those rings with Isaiah Thomas and all of them. Connor, do you think Zion has lived up to the hype or not?
I mean, he was projected to be the next LeBron, and although the games he has played, he has been performing really well. There's one season he did put up 27 points per game or upward of that. So it's just an injury issue with Zion Williamson right now. Maybe he needs better management around him and better coaching staff just to heal his injuries a little bit better. Maybe it's a weight issue with him. But the games he does play, he does perform really well, puts up points.
Does look like he's losing weight, though. It looks like he's trying
He did.
his
In
best.
this season, he played 30 games. In those 30 games, he averaged 24.6 points per game and shot 23%. We know he's not a three-point shooter, but he did average 24 points per game. Remy, is New Orleans calling for a rebuild and a Zion trade?
Oh, 100%. I'm so happy that Joe Dumars is going to be the president of the Pelicans. It's about time that somebody with some common sense is going to get rid of Zion. It's not hard to tell when your team's struggling, especially since you're going to get rid of Brandon Ingram. Thankfully for the Raptors. So happy about that. But it's about time. He's just not good for the team. Every single player that's currently coming out of the New Orleans has an injury. DeJounte Murray, Brandon Ingram, now Zion. They're just not healthy there. I don't know what's going on there, but I will be so happy once the Pelicans can get rid of him because they haven't done anything. Sure, Zion, like going back to your question that you asked Connor about, well, what's he done in the league? Sure, when he actually stays healthy, he's a great player, but he can't stay healthy. So, like we said last podcast, the best ability is availability, and he doesn't have any of that. So, you need to get rid of him.
In his last 3 seasons,
it's got to be the food in New Orleans.
In the last 3 seasons,
oh yeah, 100%.
In the last 3 seasons, he's played 29 games, 70, and then 30. So we know how big
that's terrible.
Is.
That is absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That's
70,
absolutely terrible.
He played 70 games one season, which is very bright for his.
But then the season before that, 29.
Just dropped completely.
That could just be a weight issue, though. That could just be a weight issue.
Yeah,
not injury.
It's always been a weight issue, but come on, like you got to fix something at some point. You can't be 3 years in the league and have the same issue over and over and over.
I'm going to say a Zion trade would be the best of both worlds, to be honest. I think New Orleans is fed up, and I feel Zion needs to go to a different team just to like reset, refresh, and just pick things back up, pick his feet back up, and maybe like bring his career, save his career kind of.
Talking about where he could go if he does get traded, I saw this on Instagram on a comment. The Hawks would be very good for Zion. If you put Trae Young and Zion Williamson together,
Zion's like such a big
that is a duo that is going to go to heaven. You have Trae, who's an elite scorer, and we know how much he loves. He led the league in assists. He passes the ball. He's a big oop guy. He loves tossing the lobs, and Zion is literally the key player for that.
And Zion loves catching those lobs, man. I just feel like that would fit perfect. That duo would be perfect, and Trae Young would be a lot more happy as well as Zion.
Yo, do you think if AD stayed on the Pelicans with Zion Williamson, things would have gone differently, or do you think
no? Because
they're just both
the more injury riddled players in the league.
You've got Anthony Davis and Zion out for the season.
AD wasn't injury prone back in the Pelicans though. It just happened when he became on the Lakers and everything. But imagine AD at
it's also age though. He would be the same age if he stayed on New Orleans. And I think he'd still be as injury prone.
Imagine AD at power forward, DeMarcus Cousins at center, and Zion.
All right, well, DeMarcus Cousins is about 40.
And Zion could help AD put on that weight, bro. AD would turn into like a Shaq.
AD would be.
I really think if a trade were to happen, the Hawks would probably be one of the better case scenarios. What it would take to get Zion would be interesting, depending on whether he.
Risache.
And you're probably going to have to move Daniels.
And maybe it depends on if the Pelicans completely blow it up and trade DeJounte, maybe that could have an effect on what they get in return. But
what are the thoughts on Risache, though? Like, what are we saying about that?
He's been very, very good.
He's been playing so good this season.
Playing really well, but he's the first overall pick, and he's only been averaging 14 points per game, so... Kind of, you expect
it is sad for a first overall pick.
It is. Well, I think
how many minutes are they giving him is the question.
I think also having something to do with it. If you look back at the last draft since like 2019, every single draft since then has been a hit. And it was only a matter of time before we got a draft where it was kind of less than that. You look at the last couple draft picks, Paolo Banchero, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley.
Jameson Battle, Mogbo.
And that's where I meet your mic. So looking at the drafts, it was only due to time where we get a less of an impressive draft class. But again, he's only 20 years old. He had 12.5 points per game, which isn't terrible for a rookie, but I think he has a solid upside. Remy?
Yeah, Zachary Risache, I don't know. I mean, with the minutes he's been given, I'm happy with the result. Sure, he's the number one pick, but, I'm happy with the result considering the fact that you're with Trae Young, you're with Dyson Daniels. He's got a lot to develop on, and you can't expect that in the first season of the NBA. Exactly. You can't be putting all this pressure on him in the first season because there was Sure,
he's only 20 years old.
Exactly, and nobody expected
A lot of people didn't even know his name.
Exactly, they didn't know who this guy was.
Nobody knew who he was. Nobody expected this out of him. I'm happy with it because he's got so much to learn from Trae Young and Dyson Daniels and Clint Capella with the veterans on that team. I'm just happy to see his future because I can guarantee you in the next few seasons he'll be one of the top players that we're talking about.
I believe Brice Shea, he is a really good player, but he was drafted from overseas. And then I remember when he came over, he was like, oh, I used to be the best player wherever I used to play overseas. And then when he came to the league, he's like, oh, I'm just another average player now. He's putting up 14 points per game this season.
12 and a half.
Or 12 and a half points per game the season. But if they want to get Zion Williamson, they've got to trade the young players on the Hawks right now. If they want to do,
they have to go into a win now mode.
If they want to win now, they've got to trade all their young players. And I think Brice Shea will be in that. And including some picks that they got from the Pelicans with that DeJounte Murray trade.
Yeah, no, for sure. Another thing I want to talk about, the Suns and Devin Booker. I saw it was reported that Devin Booker is looking at a 2-year extension worth $150 million. Connor, what do you think about that contract for Devin Booker?
I mean, hate it or love it, he's going to be a Sun for life. He's mentioned.
You think he's going to be there his whole career?
He mentioned that he wants to be like a Kobe Bryant type of player where he plays for one team his whole year. He has a large fan base in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't know why he would risk that all just to. Well, do you think? I know he wants to win and everything, but he's got a big fan base in Phoenix. The fans love him there, and he just wants to be a Kobe type of player where he's there his whole career. Hopefully, they get something out of Kevin Durant. Is this contract?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Do you think $150 million for 2 years is worthy of Devin Booker?
It's going to be hard when you're paying.
It's about, what is that?
Yeah.
75, 60 mil per year?
Yeah, when you're paying Bradley Beal $50 million a year and then Devin Booker $75 million a year, it's going to be pretty hard to allocate that money towards someone else in free agency, especially with Kevin Durant leaving and his everything he's been saying about the Suns organization. It's going to be hard to attract free agents to the Suns. So although the fans do love Devin Booker, they're probably going to hate the contract extension of how much he's getting paid. Maybe Devin Booker could ask for something less just to help the fan base and the organization out to get a win now team, because with all the ups and downs this year, mostly downs, they need to change something, and this money is not going to a good place.
Dylan, they're looking at the Suns overall in their situation. They didn't make the playoffs or the play-in. Kevin Durant, we know, is going to be traded sometime in this offseason. What do you think is going to happen in Phoenix?
Honestly, I'm going to talk about the Booker extension. I think it was well deserved for Booker. It's
reported, not official.
Not official, but I feel like it's well deserved.
He would be deserved if he got it.
Booker has put up those numbers. He's tried his best every single year, and I just think he deserves it, to be honest. He's been with the Suns for a while. Then again, as Connor said, it can affect the Suns that way. They won't be able to build as many assets. Too much money going in, and I don't know. We'll see how things go.
Well, how do you think the Suns as a whole? Like I said, Kevin Durant is being traded. Everyone pretty much knows Kevin Durant is out. Beal's getting overpaid and having a very, very shitty year, a couple years to say the least. Tell me what you think on the Suns organization.
Well, I think it's now or never if you're going to trade Kevin Durant, because he's only getting older at the end of the day. And
do you think they need to blow it up, or do you think it's a management issue? They need to fire everyone, bring in. What do you think the Suns need to do to become a winning team again?
I think they need a time machine. Go back to the
yeah, probably. But considering time machines only happen in TV shows.
That Bradley Beal, that was not a good situation. To be honest, I do find Bradley Beal very overrated. He had his really good season when he was with Russell Westbrook, who was still putting up numbers and was still the Russell Westbrook that we knew of. So I feel like Russell Westbrook, he was averaging 10 assists, made Bradley Beal look a lot better than he should.
Remy, what do you think about the Suns situation, the Kevin Durant trade, and what the Suns have to do to become a winning team again?
Okay, to start off, I'm going with the Devin Booker contract. I am honestly not a big fan of it. It can be a hot take, but I'm not a fan of it because a few seasons ago, we saw the Chris Paul, we saw the Devin Booker, we saw the DeAndre Ayton issue, and they went pretty far in the playoffs. And I'm saying right now, I don't know why you're giving a guy a contract like that. Sure, he's a superstar, he's an all-star caliber player. He's not a championship guy. You've seen it in the past. He can't win anything. So I don't know why you're giving that big of a contract, and I don't even know why they gave Bradley Beal that big of a contract. He's not even.
Doesn't Bradley Beal have a no trade clause?
Yep, one of the best contracts.
Yeah. So that is definitely gonna affect.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. They screwed over their team. And also with Kevin Durant, he wanted to leave. He left Golden State to try to win something. He hasn't done anything since he left Golden State. That's his legacy right there. He's a scoring title guy, but he only has those championships because of Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So
I'm calling.
So I'm gonna be
Kevin
honest.
Durant is either going to Houston or he's going to OKC again.
I know Rockets have a lot of
100%.
interest in Kevin Durant. I know there's a lot of mutual interest in him, but you got to think the Rockets have to trade someone to get Kevin Durant. Who would it be?
Oh, they're trading that young core. They're gonna be trading.
You think the Rockets would trade their
I
young
don't think-
core
I don't think
and
it's-
turn
I
it
think
to
they're-
KD?
Personally, I don't think they
I
should
think-
go for Kevin Durant.
I think his price would
it'd
be too
so
high for what they're
wasteful.
building.
It'd be so wasteful
They've
because
got
they
something
don't
going
need
in
him.
Houston.
They have
You
something
could-
going.
they
They're
don't
only
need
going to get younger and better. Why trade all that
Exactly.
away for a good year or two of Kevin Durant, who might not even elevate your team to where you want it to be?
You could think of some players
Yeah.
who are young players on the Rockets who don't add that much value, like Jabari Smith Jr. He was the second pick in the draft.
He was
I
an
think
upset.
he's not
Third
putting. Third pick. But he's not adding as much value as the team needs right now, especially with the position they're in.
But is he worth Kevin Durant?
Jabari Smith
Not a chance.
for a win now
Not a
chance.
chance.
For a win now chance.
I know. I mean,
believe
like,
so.
would the Suns take Jabari Smith for Kevin Durant?
Hell
They're gonna-
no.
yeah,
Hell
they're gonna
no.
rebuild.
I don't think they're going to take a
The-
1-for-1.
Hell no.
Suns.
No. If
Yeah,
the
not
Suns
one
take
on
that,
one
I am
for
But that's what I
concerned for
mean.
who's making their trade.
I think
it'd
the
be
Suns
like,
take that, I am
Jabari
concerned.
Smith. It'd be like Fred VanVleet to match the contract.
You
and
think they'd be
everything.
willing to give
And
up their
then-
starting point guard?
and then
Van
draft
Vliet
picks.
and Bradley Beal on the same team.
You really think
No.
the Suns would want to take
No,
Fred
that would-
VanVleet's
no.
contract?
But it's going to be a lot of picks as well. 'Cause
They-
the
but they
Rockets
still
a
already
lot of
have
picks.
shitty contracts.
If they're gonna get rid of Kevin Durant, they're gonna want a lot of picks because they currently have no picks, I believe, until like 2030 or something. So they're gonna want a lot of picks. So they want young assets.
VanVleet's not a young asset.
Okay, but that's
He
just
also
that's the
makes
contract.
$42 million a year.
There's no young. They're not
Van Vliet's having a
Jabari
disappointing
Smith and
season.
Jalen Green, because Jalen Green is a key part of the Rockets right now. So it'd be Fred
And
VanVleet. Yeah, it'd be Fred VanVleet and Jabari Smith, and then a lot of picks just to match the contract and everything. Because you can't forget that.
That would be a terrible trade.
Kevin Durant right now, he's like 37, 36 years old. He's had injury history before. So they won't give up too much. But the Rockets are in a win now position right now, and they need to get rid of some younger players, although they are in a really good spot right now. I think the fourth seed right now in the West. So that's really good for how young their team is. But to get better and to actually push farther into the playoffs, they need a veteran presence like Kevin Durant. And I believe trading some young assets who
VanVleet's not young.
Van Vliet's not
You're
young.
talking about VanVleet. VanVleet's not
There's
young.
also no young assets
And he's
on
also
the
not
Rockets.
good anymore.
Hold up.
You're not going to take that.
There's no young assets on the Rockets right now that make a lot of money other than like Jalen Green, which I don't think they're going to trade Jalen Green because he's a key part of the Rockets.
Yeah, but I don't think the Suns would take that. I think they would be looking for something
No.
bigger for Kevin Durant.
I think they want
100%.
something bigger and something younger with less contract.
Yeah, but
Because if you
100%.
imagine having Bradley Beal, Jabari Smith, and Van Vliet,
But
how
again,
do you think that
That
team's
would
going
be
to
a
function?
terrible,
Okay.
terrible trade.
Listen, you don't have
That's
to keep.
that's
You don't have
awful.
to keep Van Vliet though. You can just
They're not gonna
trade
be able
for
to
Van
flip
Vliet
him.
and flip him.
I don't think they'd be able to flip him.
100% they could.
42 mil a year. On,
No, they
I
can't.
think
They cannot
I
flip
think he
Van
has,
Vliet.
I think he has
Not
2 years
chance.
left on his deal, so you're not even going to have him long term.
You can look for a team like let's say the Timberwolves or something that don't have a veteran presence at the point guard position. That they need playoff experience.
Kevin
That would-
Durant on
that
the
would
Timberwolves
use
would be
the
fucking
Timberwolves.
insane.
Not Kevin Durant. I said Fred VanVleet
That-
to flip it to the Timberwolves because the Timberwolves, I believe, have a few picks, although they did trade a lot with the Rudy Gobert trade.
So who would the Timberwolves have to move to get Kevin Durant? Because they don't have a ton of
Not
assets.
Kevin
either.
Durant. I'm talking about Fred VanVleet.
Okay,
Fred VanVleet.
who would the Timberwolves have to trade to get Van Vliet?
I don't think they'd want Fred.
It would
I don't think they want Fred
why would they
VanVleet
want him?
either.
You have Ant that's your dominant
But
point
Fred
guard shooting
VanVleet
guard
would be
spot.
cheap. He'd
They
be
have
cheap.
Mike Conley, who's essentially doing the same thing this
It'd be
season.
Mike Conley.
It with better
It would have to be
defense.
Mike Conley because Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, but
is
why would
younger.
you trade Mike Conley
No,
for someone who's doing pretty much the same thing, just
Not
a little
pretty
younger?
much the same
That
thing.
makes zero
Yes,
sense.
Van
VanVleet is
Same
putting
thing.
up more points, more assists.
No.
He's been to
Who
the
cares about
finals.
points when you have
He's won the
Ant?
championship. Listen,
Mike Conley is an all-defensive, all-star, known, very good player.
okay, Fred VanVleet has led the.
And he also makes a lot
Fred
less.
VanVleet has averaged.
Do
2
not say
steals a
Van Vliet
game.
led the Raptors to a finals because he did not.
The Mike Conley also makes a lot less than Fred VanVleet and provides almost the same thing. Why would you want a ball-dominant point guard when you have Anthony Edwards?
Okay, he's had a bad season, but maybe that's because he's on the Houston Rockets and they're trying to give the ball more to the younger players. If you're on the Timberwolves, they're pushing for a playoff spot. They're pushing to go to the championship. The ball is going to be in his hands more than it is for Jalen Green, who is probably one of the most primary ball handlers on the Rockets right now. I believe because we've seen Van Vliet as the second option on the Raptors, what he's done. Although he only did average 22 points per game, he did lead that team.
20.
Okay, I swear there's a 22 point per game season.
19.6, 20.3. That was super high.
How old is Fred Van
I
Vliet?
have to disagree with this already.
30.
I have to disagree with this already.
Mike Conley is 37, pushing like 38.
But he's still almost the same as Van Vliet. He's just older.
Exactly.
And like I said, he's making a lot less. I don't even know if the Timberwolves would be willing to take on that extra salary.
What's Mike Conley's salary right now?
Yeah, Remy, what do you think about this whole situation?
No, I know this is a terrible situation. I do not want to hear Fred VanVleet's name on the Timberwolves. No. I don't want to hear that because Fred VanVleet and Mike Conley played the exact fucking same.
Mike Conley makes $10 million, and on he has 1 year left.
No. Here's the point I'm going to try to prove. The Timberwolves already have issues with Ann and Julius Randle and Gobert, and those three are ball-dominant players. And Rudy Gobert wants the ball in the paint, and Julius Randle's infuriated with it. Why would you have?
Julius Randle would not have Fred VanVleet on his team.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. No, because Fred VanVleet's a ball chucker. We all know that as Raptors fans. All he does is shoot threes. That's all he does.
As an option. I wasn't saying for sure.
No, a terrible option. A terrible option. That would never happen.
I was using them as an example.
You tell him, Remy. You tell him how it really is.
As an example.
Terrible option. That's as bad as Kevin Durant going to Houston.
I don't know where you're going with this.
I was using them as an example as a playoff team that needs a veteran point guard. I know the Timberwolves have Mike Conley, who's a veteran, but he's never been to the finals or as far as where Fred VanVleet's been.
I'll give you this.
I think the Timberwolves
Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant would make a very nasty duo.
I think the Timberwolves are looking for more of a playmaker, and I don't think Fred VanVleet's capable
I think they're looking for more of a play. He's averaging 5 assists, which is a low in the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah. No, he's...
Yep.
Yeah.
3 lows and assists. Since like 4 years ago.
He's on the Rockets right now where they're trying to put the ball more in the younger guys' hands. So I believe this year and last year were kind of off seasons for Fred VanVleet on the Rockets just because the ball was trying to be in the younger players' hands more.
Like I'll give you this.
He is also on a team with Jalen Green. So.
And KD would be an amazing duo. CBS Sports has #1 as their trade market for KD as the San Antonio Spurs. Remy, what do you think about that?
Wait, you're saying KD is on the San Antonio Spurs as the number one prospect
According
right now
to CBS Sports and their website, the #1 option for KD would be the Spurs.
Now that is a trio.
Honestly,
Fox,
I would like
Kevin
to see
Durant, and Wembanyama.
I would really like to see that because Chris Paul's retiring. You need to have a veteran on that team.
And I feel like it's good for Wembanyama, honestly.
I think that would instantly turn them into a contender.
100%. I could not agree more.
Kind of mentor him, and things could get lethal.
Exactly, because KD is the one of his kind, and so is Wemby. And I feel like with KD, like Dylan said, with KD mentoring Victor, it would be a perfect duo.
Like helping him out with that post game a little more.
Exactly. With having De'Aaron Fox as a playmaker and Stephon Castle as a defensive presence, I would love to see that.
Like I said, the Rockets and KD have it's the most likelihood as they both have the most interest in each other.
So who do you think San Antonio is going to give up? That's the thing.
They've got a lot of
anybody, literally anybody, except for Victor, obviously.
Chris Paul reunited with the Suns?
No, he's retiring.
Fred VanVleet on the Spurs.
Yeah, when they have De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think so.
You don't need not chance.
Think about it.
Yo, you can mentor Wemby. Same play style?
Okay.
As I said,
completely polar opposite play style.
KD and the Rockets, as of right now in this moment, seems like the most likelihood as they both have very mutual interest.
I'd love to see that, man.
I feel
like it'd make that NBA a lot more interesting.
It would just be a matter of what it's going to take to get KD because his market, although he's still old, he's able.
And you don't want to get rid of Stephon Castle, man.
No, but he's able to score and still put up points and lead a team. So what the Rockets would have to give up for KD is a mystery. But again, as of right now, that seems like the most likelihood of that.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to say about basketball?
You want me to talk about the Raptors?
No. Okay. Going into our last couple things, Champions League. We saw that round come to an end.
The second leg.
Yeah, come to an end this week. We know who the final four are, and I'll read it to you. Inter Milan versus FC Barcelona, PSG versus Arsenal, Connor, Inter, and Barcelona. What are you thinking?
I mean, I got Barcelona. They've got two MV or Ballon d'Or candidates and Rafinha, and then
Lamine Yamal, man, oh my god,
he's amazing. He's been doing amazing. Although he's not putting up the goals, he is an amazing playmaker for the team.
Lewandowski.
Yeah, you forget about Lewandowski.
And they still have Pedri, who's still very young. He's still doing good.
Again, they've got an amazing
De Jong,
Araujo,
Gavi.
They've got an amazing team. I believe they've got it over Inter.
Well, I'm taking Inter, and not only am I, because I'm an Inter fan, Lautaro Martinez is having one of the best seasons received from a striker. He's at over 25 goals now.
Give me Barcelona.
He's been doing very, very well. Inter just beat Bayern, who I thought might have taken Inter out of the equation. Inter played very well against them. If you look at them, Acerbi, Bastoni, DeMarco, Thuram has been playing very, very well for Inter. I really think Inter has a chance. Maybe they lose the first aggregate, but I think either way, Inter could potentially, I'm not saying it will happen, I think Inter still has a chance. I know most people might have FC Barcelona, but I'd still have Inter as having a fair shot at taking this matchup, which is going to be a very good game.
Yeah, you're playing a La Liga team now. It's not just Serie A teams anymore.
Well, they just beat Bayern Munich.
Okay, yeah, they are the dominant powerhouse in that league, but the only teams in that league that are good are Leverkusen and then Bayern Munich, which they have no competition, which is why they win the title every single year. So, although they've been winning a lot, but it's not, you're playing La Liga, which have way more better teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. So you're playing La Liga teams now. It's different.
It's gonna be a different matchup. It's gonna be a very good matchup. That's happening on Wednesday.
And they have such a young team too. And I love how Barcelona plays.
They're gonna be up and coming for sure. Arsenal, PSG. I think everyone is surprised.
Listen, PSG, man, without Mbappe, everyone was like, oh, this team, it's going to go to shit. Like, they're not going to be good. But Dembele, man, he's been playing out of his mind recently. And it's just good. It's good to see, man. You love to see PSG playing, still top tier. And then again, you have Arsenal. They took down Real Madrid. So,
well, I was going to bring that up. Real Madrid lost 1-5 in that aggregate.
Man.
Like, who is surprised by that? Mbappe losing that much to Arsenal. I did not have that on my bingo card.
Real Madrid is going to have nightmares about Glenn Rice for the rest of their
just free kick taking
for as long as Glenn Rice is still in.
Connor, are you taking PSG or Arsenal?
Playing.
I'm taking PSG because I've been watching PSG a lot. Not a lot, but I watched them play against my Liverpool team.
They just play so good together.
As Dylan said, Dembele, when they were playing Liverpool, he had Trent Alexander-Arnold in his pocket the whole game, just dribbling around him. I'm so glad Trent's off the team. He's a traitor. I hate him. He did good things for our team, but how are you going to be on our team for 20 years and then just leave on a free transfer? I know we're talking about PSG right now, but Trent... Man,
where's he going? Real Madrid?
Yeah, he's on Real Madrid now. He's just another ordinary player there when he could have had statues in Liverpool.
Do you think it's going to be a blow or it's going to be a close matchup?
It'll definitely be a close matchup because I think Premier League teams are at the top, but also PSG has a lot of good players.
Without Mbappe, they play so much better together as a whole.
They have I'm going to butcher the name, like Kvaratskhelia. They have him on a team. They have
Coutinho.
Yep, Coutinho. They have such a nice young roster. Yeah, Hakimi as well. Such a nice young roster. They play a team game. But again, Arsenal, Glenn Rice has been not Glenn.
Who do you see in the finals?
Is it Glenn Rice? Who is it? Declan Rice, right?
Yeah,
I said Glenn Rice too. I don't know why I said
Who do you see in the finals then? Barcelona and PSG?
I know Barcelona for sure. And then it's gonna be a tough one. But Arsenal definitely are the favorites to go into the finals, but I kind of have PSG, based off how
Arsenal has a 46% chance at winning their first game.
Just imagine Declan Rice comes in, takes down Real Madrid, goes to the finals, and takes down Barcelona, two very top tier clubs. That would be crazy to me.
Yeah. Remy, the RBC Heritage is going on this weekend. I know you're big into golf. You watch the Masters very closely. We talked about that. Who do you have winning in this golf tournament, which is happening this weekend?
Honestly, it's a toss-up for me right now. So Justin Thomas is top today in the first round. He's at -10, so he had a really, really hot start. So I'm going to take him because he was so close to winning the Masters. Or my second pick is Scotty Scheffler because he needs that redemption. Because currently, right now, in my opinion, Rory's obviously number one in the world. before the Masters, it was him. So I think it's going to be between those two. It's a super close matchup, and I cannot wait to see who wins it.
Looking at the top players on the leaderboard, where is our Canadian guys at? Remy, where are the Canadian golfers? Our top Canadian golfer is, what's this? Mackenzie,
top 38.
Mackenzie Hughes, and he's tied for 21st.
No, it's Nick Taylor.
No, I'm looking at the leaderboard right now. Mackenzie Hughes is tied for 21st with a -3. Why is a Canadian so far down? Is he really that much worse than the U.S.?
Yeah, he really is. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I wish I could say that he wasn't, but America is just so stacked with fantastic golf. I'm not saying Canada isn't, but I haven't seen the last person that was Canadian to win the Masters in the top tier was Mike Weir, and I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that sort of caliber play of any Canadians right now. I mean, obviously Corey Connors in the Masters, he was at top tier, but he just couldn't finish it off. He just couldn't make it. I'm actually surprised Corey Connors isn't higher after his Masters hot streak.
Yeah, it's going to be a good tournament to watch. Thank you guys for joining us on the Gameplan Podcast.
Sorry, just before we end things, I just wanted to say my condolences to Owen Power. On April 12th, he had an injury.
All right, so thank you guys for joining us on the Gameplan Podcast. We'll see you next time. Have a good night. Peace out.